Hi, my name is Tiago Rocha and I would like to welcome you to the Cookproof channel. Let's check all the things you need to do before setting up the kite and kite setting up process, and also how to verify it to make sure all is correct in another video of our series, How To. If you haven't done so, please consider subscription to our channel. Also let me know other topics you might like to discuss in the comment section below. When going kiting, the first thing we have to do is set up your kite. But is this the first thing we do? Actually, before setting up the kite, we do a lot of other things. So when we arrive at the beach, the first thing we do is to check the wind. We first need to characterize the wind into direction, strength, and stability. The wind direction can be offshore, onshore, sideshore, or variations, like side onshore or side offshore. Determining the exact path of the wind is very important, as the following procedures are related to that. There are several ways to determine the correct wind direction. You can look at flags, use sand, wet your thumb, and other methods. My recommendation is that you use your senses by facing the wind and feeling it in your face, and rotate your head until you feel the wind passing in both your ears, making a stereo effect. This method gives you the exact wind direction. In order to check the wind strength, there's a wind meter you can use to find out the correct value. I use it in the very beginning, but never use it for kite surfing after, just because I now manage to find it out more or less what the wind strength is, only by observing the wind conditions. One easy way to check the power is to look around and see what sizes other persons with similar skills and weights are using. And this helps you to determine the wind strength. The quality of the wind is harder to define, but you can choose places that don't have obstacles to the wind, helping it to be more stable. Any obstruction to the wind will create wind shadows, making it less stable and so worse for kiting. Once you have determined the wind direction, strength, and the quality, you now need to choose the place to set up the kite. What is an excellent place to set up our kite? Find one place that is near the water, so when you get the kite up, you don't have to walk a lot. You should also have it on the side of the wind window that is closer to the water. This way, you don't need to pass the zenith to go into the water. This place should be clear of obstacles, upwind and downwind, so the wind is not gusty on the launching moment. Once you've found this place, you are ready to prepare the equipment. First, let's prepare the kite and after the bar. The order can be different, it's a matter of choice. For me, it's easier this way as I can connect the lines to the kite when I finish separating the lines. The other way around, I will need to get the tip of the line buried and get back to it after I pump the kite. So let's start by getting the kite out of the bag and place it on the spot previously chosen to set up the kite. We should unroll the kite completely before pumping. Majority of the modern kites use single inflation systems called one pump, so the whole kite is pumped in one point. We should put our back into the wind, and with the kite entry point in front of us and the kite perpendicular to the wind, we connect the pump leash. This is in the pump of the kite. Connection point is near the single entry point where we will connect the pump hose. With the 2 feet pressing on the pump base, we should pump the kite. Kite pumps are dual piston pumps, meaning they pump when they are pulled up or pushed down. So there's no need to go entirely up or entirely down. One more vigorous pumping will help to pump more air. So make smaller repetitive movements up and down without going to the full extent of the shaft. Use your leg movement instead of the arms to save your back. When pulling up, your strength applied can be high. Newer pumps now feature single inflation selector, so you can use only the downstroke on the last part to get optimal pressure easily by using your whole body on the end part of pumping. This feature is especially useful for girls and people with less strength, allowing them to use body weight instead of the arm and back strength. A common question is, how do I know if the kite is correctly inflated? The majority of the new pumps have a gog with measuring system, usually with a green part, so you know when to stop pumping and that you have the kite with the proper pressure. Some other brands put the value that you should achieve, but if you don't have anything like this to measure, You can try different techniques, like trying to bend a kite, usually against a normal arc, if it needs to be hard in order not to bend. Anyways, the kite should be well pumped and hard so it can maintain the shape, as it depends on stiffness to fly with the characteristics it was designed for. Now that you finished pumping the kite, you need to put the kite on the place you have previously selected. So pick it up on the pump connection point, disconnect the pump, and keeping it in the smiling position, carry it to that place. Once there, put one tip on the ground and walk to the other side to flip the kite and place the leading edge on the ground. Make sure the central strut is pointing to the wind. Once the kite is in the parking position, put some weight on top of the kite. This weight should be aggressive to the kite, so placing the board can lead to accidental cuts in the kite canopy due to the fins. Putting sand is the standard alternative, but it's not the best, as sand is also very abrasive. Best option is to have a sandbag or place a bag on the kite. Now that the kite is secured, we can prepare the lines and bar so we have it all connected. We can put the bar upwind or downwind of the kite. We should always set up the kite with the bar downwind. It's also possible to set it up upwind, and you might see some people still doing this. It was the way people used to set up the kite back in the beginning. But this led to many accidental launches, because the kite is in the power zone, and so it has been completely abandoned by all schools. So just put the lines on the downwind part of the kite and take them out of the bar while you walk downwind to get the lines straight. Once you have finished, you need to separate the lines. It's important to make sure that the back and front lines are well separated. I recommend you to put the front lines in the middle of your legs and the back lines on the outside. This way they are separate. To make this even better, have the four lines split between your fingers. Then walk the lines back to the kite, combing them to make sure they are all separate. Once you arrive at the kite, I recommend you place the back lines on the outside of the kite and the front lines in the center of the kite. It's now time to connect the lines. Most of the kites use as a standards the crook-proof connection lines. So you will have knots in the kite and loops in the bar if this is the case on the back lines, and the front lines will be the opposite. This changes from brand to brand, but in all you will have 2 loops and 2 knots on the bar ends and the reverse configuration on the kite. So now open the loop and attach it to the knot, making sure it's correctly connected. Start by one outside line and go line per line until the other end. The rigging can be confirmed by going to the bar and checking if the lines are connected to the correct part in a straight line. The kite is now ready to launch. Want to know how to launch your kite? Check the next videos to find all you need to know in order to launch your kite. Hope you liked this video and it's helpful for you to remember what you have learned on your lessons. All these techniques should be practiced during your lessons, and I strongly recommend you take lessons and use these videos to add to your knowledge.